Good morning, afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to another
Well,
edition of LPTV Disney Morning Show. Coming to you a little bit later today so we could make way for our good buddy, Disney CEO Bob Iger, to have his room today with Morgan Stanley, which we'll be talking about. My name is Doobie Mosley. I am the co-founder of Laughing Place, host of the show, along with my good buddy over there, Kyle. How you doing, Kyle?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
I'm doing well. He's our managing editor for now. I hear Ethan has updated his LinkedIn page and might be making some moves. But for now, Kyle is still the managing editor of Laughing Place. So we're here to talk about what's going on in the world of Disney. That's what we do every morning here. So please like, subscribe, ring the bell, select on notifications, and you won't miss a single episode. We start each show the same way. Yesterday, the stock was right around $99. Bob Iger talked to Morgan Stanley this morning. I'm sure he got everyone hyped up. What do you think's going on?
I like that you make it sound like Morgan Stanley sound like a person. I enjoy that. I'll be optimistic
Isn't that Tony's fiance, Morgan Stanley?
Yeah.
What did you say? Optimistic and up?
Optimistic up.
All right, let's see. It is pessimistic down, 98 and falling. Clearly, Bob Iger had quite an impact on the investment community.
Clearly. He's like, what? They're going to listen to customers?
Maybe Wall Street doesn't. This is the thing. Bob Iger can say, I don't care what you think, Wall Street. I'm going to do what's best for this company. And he will be right in the long term, even if he takes a little bit of a hit in the short term. All right, let's get to everyone's favorite part of the show.
Sorry to say, Ethan requested the day off, so you're stuck with me in an old school report.
How does an AI request the day off?
He's growing. He's getting sentient. In Anaheim.
You can hear the disappointment all around the country right now.
I'm sorry. I got stuff to do. So yeah,
lots of. We got Ethan.
It's raining right now. You might hear it raining. Yeah, snow up in the upper Midwest there, and then nice mix in between, and then there's a chance of storms and showers. Looks like you guys have some rain too. Is that the case?
Yeah, it's supposed to be raining all day today, and looks like SoCal's got like heavy rain.
Yeah, luckily, apparently not so much in Anaheim, or at least maybe it's done by now. It's partly cloudy today with temperatures in the upper 60s during the day. Orlando, mostly sunny skies with a high of 80 and a bit breezy. Castaway Cay, partly cloudy and mid-70s for most of the day. Paris has showers and wind again this evening with temperatures in the mid to low 50s. Tokyo will start off the day with a small chance of rain in the early morning, but skies will clear into the afternoon with a high of 66, hanging around for several hours. Shanghai will make it up to 80 degrees tomorrow, but will crash down to the low 60s in the evening. And Hong Kong will have a high of 75 tomorrow with sunny skies and breezy conditions.
How's it looking over at Lighthouse Point?
Lighthouse Point, I'm going to have to start adding that. I'm sure, you know what? I don't know how to search for it, so I'm going to say it's the same as Castaway Cay because I just use Nassau.
It's on an island that has a name. Anyway, we'll get to that shortly.
Oh, yeah. It starts with an E.
Yes. So this morning, Bob Iger had a question and answer session with Morgan Stanley, who is not only an individual but a major investment bank.
He was never an individual. It's named after two people, someone Morgan and someone Stanley.
Someone Morgan and someone Stanley. Dr. Albert Morgan. So how'd that go, Kyle? I know you listened to it. You live blogged it, so people can go check out our live blog if you want to get a lot of details. But why don't you give us the highlights, Kyle?
Yeah, I kind of, went through a lot of the stuff we've been hearing for a while now, talking about streaming and kind of how, they priced it low to begin with to get a bunch of subscribers. He kind of talked about how not everyone's going to be able to win in streaming, but still thinks that they're well positioned to do well. Talked about how the cadence of content had kind of been messed up because of COVID. So you had a lot, and then you had not that much, and then you had way too much, and then they're still trying to figure that one out. He also mentioned something that was kind of interesting, and that was the exclusivity of streaming isn't as big of a factor as they thought. So an example that he's given before and gave again was, you have the average age of an ABC viewer watching Abbott Elementary, and it's like 30 years different than the average person watching Abbott Elementary on Hulu. So kind of doing that multi-platform thing and taking advantage for, there's advertising advantages to doing things that way. So he mentioned, not being so strict about things being exclusive. And then he didn't say it outright, but he was asked about licensing. And so in theory, they could also license content, and as long as it's on Disney Plus, but it could theoretically be somewhere else if exclusivity isn't as important.
So interesting
content. Then as for the parks, one of the things that was probably a few things that were interesting. First of all, he kind of admitted that in their zeal to make a profit and also curb, he did mention that they need to keep the parks from being overly crowded. So he kind of didn't. I don't think he really mentioned the park reservation system, but obviously that's part of that. But said that they were aggressive with their pricing, over aggressive with their pricing, and so they rolled some of that back when he came back. Incidentally, the day before, the new Nelson Peltz was going to try to hit them on that. So that's things like, reversing the parking fee, which I will point out that was under his administration the first time. It wasn't a Chapek decision. And doing some other changes. He says they're going to continue to listen to guest feedback and thinks that they can continue to grow that business without, keeping it accessible. He said that it's important that the Disney brand remains accessible. So hopefully that means, a freeze on a lot of the prices for tickets that we've seen over the past few years, or something like that, as long as they can say that they're not raising prices, perhaps like we've seen in Disneyland, where they have that tier 0 now, where they're like, well, this is the same price it's always been, but then everything else gets raised. So it's hard to know whether to take this as, oh yeah, they're going to pause for a little bit, or whether they're going to do more interesting spin-tastic moves like that.
Did he talk at all about Avatar or any other expansion plans?
He didn't mention specific expansion plans. He just said there's more land or more opportunity or whatever in California than people realize. And that might be kind of speaking to, so he says that, but which is true, but one of the things we don't know is, they had that whole thing about Disneyland Forward, and that entire idea was to take the land that they have and let them use it in any way they see fit, and kind of intermingle things like hotels and restaurant zoning with the theme park zoning so that they can just use all of that land. So that's kind of the issue is, they have lots of land, but it's not all necessarily able to be used for new attractions and things like that.
And then I see in our live blog, he also mentioned they can increase capacity through new IP-based experiences.
Yeah, I just said that, they have an endless well of IP and to bring people in. So yeah, but he did, say they want to, not just keep people out to avoid overcrowding, but also expanding capacity to invite more people, but still have it be comfortable. So that's really what you want as a fan, is you don't want to just have restrictions. You want to let more people in by having more to offer.
Right. We want to be able to go whenever we want to go, as cheap as we can possibly do it, and have the park be completely uncrowded.
Exactly.
While that will never happen, the only way to go towards that is by having a huge capacity.
The only way you can do that if it downpours for 3 full days in Anaheim.
And did he say 2 years, I'm out, see ya?
Yeah, totally. No, he said that they're constantly working. It's a top priority for him and the board. Succession the second time. He said they had a meeting of that committee yesterday, and that they're going to find the right person at the right time this time.
Meetings they just sit around and they're like, what about this guy? What do you guys think of him? What about her? Do you think that's what's going on there?
I guess so. Yeah, what else are you gonna? How's Josh progressing? Do we think he's coming along?
A pro and con board up there, like really, really nice, but sometimes loses his temper.
Hear me out, Nelson Peltz.
You're fine. Does Vegas lay odds on the next Disney CEO? Because I want to know the odds on Nelson Peltz.
I'm sure you could take a prop bet somewhere.
I would put $10 down on that. Anyway, all right. Anything else from Morgan Stanley this morning you should mention before we move on?
Those are the ones that stuck out to me. You can watch the full. Not really a replay. You can scroll through our live blog, which we put a link to. Nothing really headline worthy in my opinion, except for potentially, let me see the stuff that I tweeted, because those would be the the biggest moments. One thing I thought was kind of interesting, talking about the advertising of Disney Plus, and that he thought that they were spending too much on promoting the platform itself instead of the actual content on it, which I'm like, yeah, I can see that. They kind of have these short like caps of like what is on there, but there's such short little things that, yeah, I guess that makes sense, as you want to promote more of the what is on the platform instead of just it exists. So I thought that was a pretty good point.
Full commercial on Mandalorian and how awesome it is. Oh, you want to see it? This is all you got to do.
He says he saw a clip of Star Wars The Acolyte, which is a series he says coming out next year, and said he was impressed with that. Also said that The Little Mermaid will remind us how strong the Disney brand is.
That's such an interesting comment to word it that way. I want to know more. Expound on that, Mr. Iger.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm so curious what exactly he meant by that, and we'll never know now, and I'm kind of sad. Maybe the shareholder meeting is coming up. If I get a chance to ask a question, that's going to be my question. What did you mean by this, Mr. Iger? I don't know.
Well, so that's basically all. It was a fairly short, like between a half hour, 45 minutes.
Okay. And this is just something he does, CEOs do regularly? They go to an investment?
CEOs, CFOs, yeah. We've seen Morgan Stanley ones, Goldman Sachs, other investment banks. So yeah, this is a regular thing. We've had several before. This isn't out of the ordinary by any means.
It's very nice that they are public. They don't do them behind closed doors, but anybody can tune in.
I think they have to for SEC regulations. That's why they also have to read the safe harbor language ahead of time, being like, these are not forward-looking statements and all that stuff.
All right. Again, you can receive all of that coverage on our live blog as it happens. Just click that link that's in the chat right now. In the meantime, we are going to move on to exciting news. I mean, exciting news, Kyle. I can't even talk. I'm so excited. What?
It's been a couple hours, but I saw this and immediately knew what we were starting the show with. So
Go for
the
it.
new private destination, Lighthouse Point, which we've known about for a while, second private. So it's part of an island. So it's not really a private island is how I would think of it as. But anyway,
that's my interpretation too. Castaway Cay is Disney's private island. When a ship's not there, there's no one on there but a skeleton crew of Disney cast members. Whereas this seems like an existing island that Disney will turn a portion of into a resort, which is more common of the cruise ship destinations. That's the more common way of doing it.
Okay, yeah. So here on the island of Eleuthera is where Lighthouse Point is. But yes, anyway, first guest going to be starting Welcome Summer 2024. That is slightly more specific than the first half of 2024 that we had before. But they did release a ton of concept art and renderings. So
yeah, and they're making a point. It's interesting reading about this, how important it is. The key is Castaway Cay is like this this fantastical, beautiful place that Disney has created on this island. Whereas they're like, we are embracing the Bahamian culture, and this is like just that's it, just a celebration of Bahamian culture, not something entirely new like Castaway Cay is. So see some of the concept art that they have here. This is the kids splash zone, and another kids area here. But so let me see what I'm trying to do. They talk about what it looks like when you arrive there. Yeah, the curved linear buildings will first appear as Bahamian shells scattered along the shoreline, and then upon closer inspection, guests will discover artistic expressions of the native flora and fauna of the Bahamas and the pageantry and history of Junkanoo parades. So again, really celebrating the inherent culture. There's a lot of talk about sustainability in here, a lot of talk about how there'll be local vendors there, not just seashells, but actual local Bahamian vendors there. So really a very different concept from Castaway Cay, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been to Castaway Cay, but I get that, definitely get that impression as well.
I'm trying to find. Yeah, we don't have that one. There's one big overarching piece of concept art that really. Yeah, I'll get it. Talk for a moment, Kyle.
Well, you'll have to tell me which it is because I've tried to put all the concept art I saw in there. So, look, the newest superhero in What If, which we knew about yesterday. Go figure. Sorry, I'm finding news, putting things together. Sometimes Disney doesn't release information in the proper order. Like yesterday, they released pre-orders for a new piece of merchandise about a character that they haven't announced, and then now they're announcing that character. It's brilliant.
Oh, well, it's not that important. It was a very high piece of concept art that showed both the resort and then just how far away the ship was, at least in that rendering. Oh, here it is, right here. I don't know. This one I just found particularly interesting. See the resort over here, and way back here, there's a Disney ship. So Lighthouse Point, summer 2024. Really interesting to see just what are they going to do. Double dips to Castaway Cay. Wait a second. Sorry, my wife sent me something. I'm a little confused. Double dips to Castaway Cay, where you take a cruise where you go to Castaway Cay twice, are hugely popular. Disney fans are perfectly happy to just go to Disney destinations. So I gotta believe there's going to be Castaway Cay and Lighthouse Point cruises, where maybe you can just skip Nassau, just do those two cruises in the day at sea, or those two cruises on the 3-day. And I think those would be hugely popular. That's what Disney fans really want. I did not see any lighthouses. Did you, Kyle?
I haven't looked that closely at it, but no, not offhand.
What I find most interesting about this, so Disney has Castaway Cay, which is one of the first, maybe even the first, totally exclusive private island. Other cruise lines now have gone there and gone way up. Royal Caribbean's Perfect Day at Parrot Cay, even though it's Parrot Cay. Royal Caribbean's Perfect Day at Parrot Cay is like just so massively larger than Castaway Cay in terms of what it has. It has like a swimming pool, just a giant swimming pool there, and just a giant like observation tower. There's so much there that they kind of made it like a little mini water-based theme park. Is there Perfect Day at Parrot Cay. Disney, with their second outing, instead of saying, hey, this is where the market's going, we're going to meet them there, now they have gone even the other way. Thank you, Gabriel. They've gone the other way, and this may be even more natural than Castaway Cay and much less just building a resort out on an island. So it's interesting. Disney always zigging when the rest of the world is zagging, especially in the cruise line market. I'm very curious how this is going to go over. I know this was originally a Joe Rohde project. I think he left it when it got put on hold back in 2020. But this feels like a Joe Rohde project. Like, yeah, this is the way we're going to do a private island.
Private island, they're hosting you. They say every cruise.
And here's how it's going to be accepted by cruisers. Are they going to like this approach as opposed to the Perfect Day approach of Royal Caribbean and other islands like that? We shall see. But I'm excited. Speaking of cruising, I'm going to hype my own stuff here. We don't have it posted yet, I don't believe, but I did write an article and a little bit about my recent cruise on the Disney Wish, my 5 places I like to hang out on the Disney Wish. So please check that out later on Laughing Place. And once that post, probably tomorrow I'm actually going to talk about that a little bit because, it's my show. I can talk about my stuff. Kyle, if you ever write an article, bring it up. This is our show. We can talk about our stuff.
Okay.
All right. What do you got, like a fire out there?
Fire truck. It's a busy street. That's why I was muted, but you made me talk.
Okay. All right. Breaking news yesterday. Broke right after we went off the air, sadly. But Kyle, Universal, what's going on?
They changed the name of their parks and resorts business to Destinations and Experiences. This comes ahead of, they're opening. They just got approved for that park in Texas, which is still a park, but it's going to be like a lesser scale. It's more for younger families and stuff like that. And they're also doing that thing at Area 15 in Vegas, which is going to be like a permanent Halloween Horror Nights type experience. So it does make sense. This is kind of like Disney was doing in the 90s with their regional experiences. Now Universal's kind of going after that. And so they're changing the name. They also updated their logos along with it to this kind of like flatter style.
These look like word art to me. Are these impressive to you, Kyle? I know you have a history in graphic design.
Yeah, totally. I know a lot about graphic design, and they're okay. They don't bother me. I think that the weirdest one to me, if we have it in there, is the Volcano Bay.
Oh, I like that with an oath.
Really?
See, you're the expert, so I don't trust myself now. I'm wrong.
City Walk with the neon sign.
What timing there, man? All right, so this is effective immediately,
right? Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Next up on today's agenda, the Walt Disney World 50th license plates. Did you manage to snag yourself one of those, Kyle?
Well, I don't live in Florida, so no.
So you would have had to literally have snagged one like off someone else's car, which we do not recommend.
I'm not going to register my car in a state I don't live in just to get a license plate, believe it or not.
Though I guarantee you some people did, no doubt. So the Walt Disney World 50th license plate, which Disney and Florida made available to benefit charity. They raised $1.5 million for Make-A-Wish of Central and Northern Florida, selling these special license plates, but they are now being retired. So this is your last chance to get one if you're interested. But fret not, there will be a new design featuring Cinderella Castle coming this summer, with the proceeds also going to charity. So make sure you know about that. I like this one a lot because I love the 50th color and the 50 font there. I hope that whatever they do to replace it is equally as appealing to me. Do you have a specialized license plate, Kyle?
Do I have a specialized license plate?
Yeah, like a vanity plate. And if you did, do you know what it would say?
Not really. I've had ideas over the years, but I can't think of any of them now. I'm sure they were not good.
We used to have a vanity plate that was LGHMPLC. Can you guess what that stood for?
Laughing Place.
You're right. Good job.
Thank you. No, but I do have my license plate memorized, which is very helpful when checking into hotels and things like that.
I can still remember my license plate from when I was about 20, 3ASF933, but I have zero idea what my current one is. Ethan wasn't here today, Mac. I don't know if you're late, but there was no Ethan today, and the internet is still reverberating with the ramifications.
Can I break the fourth wall and explain something about Ethan?
Oh, no. I'm scared. What?
So the program that I'm using has a limit on your... So I can just use Ethan, but I want to progress it. So I'm trying to, he did that impression of me and he called me Gibber and it was funny, but I'm just trying to have him sound like me, but there's a 1,000-word limit. And it's not that he doesn't know 1,000 words, but I can have him say this. I'm like, oh, okay, well, he's saying Gibber for Kyle. So let me take out Kyle, but then he'll put in Gibber for a different word. It's like they really want me to pay that money to upgrade. And I don't know if this bit is worth that.
That bit is the best thing we got going, Kyle. Well, offline, we need to talk about what it costs to unleash the full Ethan. I suspect it's worth it. Oh, that would be Kyle's license plate, Chipper. All right, I see Ben is down there. Is he wanting to participate here? You want to talk?
Oh, he's just...
Well, let's bring you on real quick. We're going to bring on our CEO, Ben.
I'll get the banner.
You get the banner. I'll get the logo. We'll talk to you about a couple of things, Ben. I thought you took care of the banner.
This is the banner.
Okay, I did the logo. Morgan Stanley, if you can, we talked to Kyle about Morgan Stanley, but obviously you probably can do a little bit more analysis. And then I also want to talk to you, if you have time, about the labor situation at the animation studio. So go, Morgan Stanley.
Yeah, I mean, I think he said something, nothing that I would say is too surprising. It's kind of in line with what he did in that interview he did with David Faber after on CNBC after the last earnings call. I think there was a couple things that stuck out to me. One is specifically calling out Disneyland as a place that they have room to grow. I should say that California as a place they have room to grow. Um, they've been talking about Disneyland Forward for a while, but a lot of times those things get announced as part of like a, planning commission kind of thing to get the rights to do it, but doesn't mean it's actually going to be happening. This one seems like it's likely at this point that there'll going to be significant expansion at the Disneyland Resort in one way or the other. So hopefully we hear more about that soon. Kind of acknowledged Marvel will be slowing down, and they're going to be focusing on new characters instead of just kind of going to the same well of old characters. Now, the only one I know that they kind of did that with that I thought was sort of like beyond a trilogy was Thor. So I thought it was an odd way to bring it up. Because I don't know that was really what Marvel's challenge was. I think it was just sort of a pacing issue. There's just too much at any given point. But so I don't really know what. Well, I mean, that didn't come from nowhere. So I wonder what that really means if you translate it into a little bit more fan speak. And then acknowledging that Star Wars, that when Solo underperformed, they have been focused on making the right movie as opposed to, just a movie. And we saw last week, an acknowledgement that a lot of the movies that were in development are not moving forward. So I'll be curious to see what their right movie is. Like, how do they know? How do you know about anything? But like, what about these other projects have caused them to not move forward?
He seems so gun shy.
He did say he did have things. What's that?
One little flop, and they just seem so gun shy with Star Wars and moving on to the next movie.
Yeah, it's odd, right? It's not coming from nowhere. Like, they must do market research and just kind of feel like, what people want from a Star Wars film. I'm guessing. I just don't know. It just seems like, and even Solo, it underperformed, but I think flop is even
Star Wars is not gonna. I guess it's an image thing more than a money thing, because no matter what they put out in the world of Star Wars, it's not like it's going to become an Ishtar or something. But obviously, you don't want to have.
No, well, but if you look at it, I think what the Solo issue was is that it came out sort of too quickly after, I think it was Last Jedi, or not? Yeah, Last Jedi. And because looking back, people love that movie, and there's all this like make Solo 2 hashtag stuff, and so yeah. So I feel like it wasn't even. But I feel like it's more of a not necessarily a creative flop, but there's some criticisms of it, but I felt they maybe it could have done with a little bit more probably additional photography and a little bit more distance from a saga film.
Well, we've got some distance now, so there's no excuse. Get the movie out. Okay. Anything else on Morgan Stanley you wanted to kind of gloss over?
I don't know. Is there anything that's stuck out to Kyle that I may have missed?
I talked about it earlier, so everything I thought of already.
I was just curious what your thoughts were, because I wasn't watching.
Yeah, just basically, I thought that the thing about him admitting that they had gotten aggressive with their pricing, I was just kind of wondering whether that would mean that we'd actually see like a pause on price hikes for tickets, or whether they'd just continue doing that bit where they're like, we didn't raise the bottom ticket price. That's kind of what I was thinking.
Well, he also kind of alluded to the fact that there's more on that front coming. I don't know what it would be. I didn't see this coming, so but what other sort of listening to guest feedback changes will they be making? I'd be curious to see.
He said one thing that I don't know what he meant, and maybe you do, so please interpret. The Little Mermaid will remind you how strong the Disney brand is.
I think he thinks of it as being a live action, sort of Disney classic, and therefore it will do well, and you'll see the reaction that movie has amongst the populace.
Okay, nothing more interesting.
That's a bold prediction. That's an F5.
F5? What are you trying to do? Center it or something?
I don't know. I don't remember which F it was. I just remember you guys always referencing an F shortcut for that.
F6 for bold prediction. I don't know
Okay.
why.
Wow. I was off by one.
Which is going to give you the wrong thing. Which is going to give you the wrong thing on the document. You know?
Okay. Well, whatever. No one's using it. F5 for me now is to mute my mic. So there you go.
All right. What is
For me, F5 here is the play pause button for me.
See, that's different. I have that as F8. So, times have changed.
I have the print screen on F8, which can't possibly still be used.
Oh, that's annoying. Trying to see what F5 did. It's harder than it should be to find out the old WordPerfect 5.1 keyboard shortcut.
You don't have the thing that goes over the function keys?
Yeah, instead of wanting like an editing keyboard, Doobie just wants an old WordPerfect shortcut overlay.
There it is. Sorry, this is important. Give me a second. Anyone that's too young to know what the heck we're talking about.
That'd be an EF5.
That's like everybody should. Yeah, there you go.
F5 is list. No wonder I don't know what it is. No one used that button. No one knows what that is. F6 was bold. F8 underline. F4 indent. It's all coming back. How do you center? F6, but with the shift.
Is WordPerfect still a thing?
I don't know. Software really never quite goes away. But WordPerfect 5.1 is not still a thing. Yeah, WordPerfect Office Standard. WordPerfect.com, still a thing.
It was originally developed under contract at Brigham Young University.
I'm sure it sells more than -1 copies every year. All right. What is the situation with the name right? Animation Guild and Disney?
Well, there's been a push amongst the animation industry to kind of expand the roles that are governed by, a collective bargaining agreement. This has happened not just at Disney, well, I was going to say Simpson, but, not just at Disney Animation Studios. Nickelodeon's dealing with this too. So this is more of like production support people, not animators per se, but the question is as they have a choice if they want to sign up for collective bargaining. Obviously, there's pros and cons of that. Having worked in both the union environment and non-union environment, you see the difference, and be up to them to decide if they want to do it. I don't think it's going to move the needle anyway, really. In terms of like output, but obviously when you're in a union environment, things it takes away flexibility for both the company and the employee.
And it looks like, according to the article, there are no film studios, animation studios right now that are unionized. 20th Century Fox TV is unionized.
No. Disney's unionized. Disney Animation's unionized. It's just
not the supervisors.
Just not the production supervisors. Okay. So,
And
obviously, just like in the 40s, they're going to go after Disney first to set that tone. But this has been a push that they've been doing. As you said, Nickelodeon TV, they've been doing this for the same thing. Just as it's not a huge thing. It's just really dependent on what the employees want, and I don't know what they want. I don't know if they'll pass. The Labor Relations Board, they'll do a vote and all that. But
the Animation Guild had a lot of quotes from people saying they want to be unionized.
Well, of course they do, but we'll see what happens.
All right.
It's like 75 people at Disney Animation. It's not like thousands of people.
Are Pixar animators unionized right now?
The animators would be, but I don't know about probably not the production supervisors.
Standard thing in the industry, like all actors.
Yeah. It's a union gig. This isn't anything new. It's a whole the Walt one hell of a breakdown Art Babbitt situation, right? It's Disney's been a union shop for longer than we've been alive. So
literally. Okay, we're gonna move on to some non-business topics. Feel free to stay or not, up to you, fanboy.
Sounds good. Sorry, Kyle.
that what you meant to do? All right, Kyle, I know how huge a fan you are of this magic shot that I'm about to show you. These are just some of the Flower and Garden Festival magic shots at Disney World. I actually, for a second, I thought this was actually your picture. But
I
then
thought
looked a little closer.
this guy looks famous. Is he famous?
I don't think so.
I mean, he looks
famous
like
for
the
this.
fifth Hemsworth or whatever. But anyway, yeah, this is a fairly boring magic shot.
No, it's the orange bird. He's so special, Kyle.
I know, but if I could Photoshop it, it's not that great.
Wow, you have skills.
So I'll tell you
how about
what, if
this
anyone
one?
sends me a photo of you doing this at Epcot, I'll make that for you. Free.
Hey, do you know that guy on Twitter who says, "Send me your Photoshop request and I'll do them," but he does them literally. So it's always hilarious results.
I've heard of that, yeah.
Wow, Orange Bird is boring. Kyle's take on Orange Bird, maybe the most controversial thing he's got going here at LP. All right, here's another one with a
Gonna have to run for office now.
How about this one? Just another Kyle could do it, no big deal.
Yeah, even more so. I don't even have to like put it anywhere in particular.
Fine. Unimpressed with the magic shots. We'll move on.
I mean, because those aren't included. And I guess if you have an annual pass, then do get free stuff. But like that's not. If you buy Genie Plus, you will event like next month, later this month, you start getting your on-ride pass photos for free. But these are not included in that, so you have to like pay money for these.
You know what? We're paying money for photos is really expensive on a Disney cruise ship. $20 a photo. 20
Unless
for
you're
one photo.
Pearl.
Which I am not. So I reiterate, $20 a photo. So I did not buy any.
It's like they
Crossroads.
heard of cell phones.
I took 20. Crossroads. Are you familiar with the Crossroads that Crossroads is at, Kyle? Which is not really.
So I have been to Crossroads because one of the first times that I came out to see Becca, I asked her politely to take me to Crossroads so that I could get a cheesy gordita crunch at Taco Bell and some McDonald's French fries and create the ultimate fast food meal. And that's what we did.
Wow, and that is which you can't do anymore. I used to go there for Goodings, like right across the street. I like Goodings, but can't do that anymore either. So I guess originally they were going to have an off-ramp. They've raised all of Crossroads. They're turning it into off-ramp, on-ramp stuff for the freeway. And they were going to have an off-ramp, a massive off-ramp that took you to Disney Springs. And now it seems like that won't be the case. Instead, there's going to become a big circular on-ramp. So there will not be a massive off-ramp directly from I-4 to Disney Springs right there, which could be a little bit disappointing for some people.
Remember when we had a big, long discussion about what the difference between an over-ramp and a flyover is?
Where did we come down on that?
I don't know if we ever figured it out or it already left my brain. No Baja sauce, but otherwise, good to go.
I'm a 7-layer burrito guy. Keep it basic. Keep it basic. Keep it vegetarian. Let's see. Did anything come at the 11 o'clock hour for us, Kyle, before we move on to some standard
I've been talking to you. Let me see. Lots of ESPN PR stuff being retweeted, but can't imagine that's exciting. Something about Firebuds. So like I said yesterday, they announced a new something from What If, a new figure, and then Becca is doing her research on it and finds out that this character hasn't existed in the Marvel Universe before, so they've made a toy of it. And then today, Marvel.com puts out what this character actually is. So her name is Kohori, I guess that is, because I'm only reading it and not hearing it. And she's going to be on an episode 2 for What If, which is the animated Marvel show. And we kind of wondered exactly what her deal was going to be. So this has a whole backstory that I have not read yet because I've been on the air. But as it mentions here at the bottom, that ahead of her debut on Disney Plus, Funko is celebrating her with a special glow-in-the-dark Funko vinyl soda. So yes, you can find that. You'll see this article on our site soon, but now you can check out the article that has our What If Funko Soda figure that you can pre-order on Entertainment Earth.
Thank you. Before we move on to our pocket picks and this day in Disney history, I have a question for you, Kyle. Today, March 9th, is National Get Over It Day. So you can either answer now or you can think about it while we do the segments. What is the one thing you wish Disney fans would just get over?
Ooh. I mean, like, yeah, it's hard to limit it to one because like a new thing comes up every week. Yeah, I guess currently it's thinking that the new DVC building at Disneyland Resort looks like a Marriott. I don't know what the hell Marriott's they're staying at, but
get over it. That should be like a segment. Kyle has opinions.
You know what really grinds my gears?
And then we just have like a get over it. I like that. Okay, that's cool. That works. All right. Time for. Oh wait, what do we have to? Epcot has got to get up. There you go. This is what I'm looking for. Get over it. Keep them coming, Mac. Keep them coming. We have no pocket picks today.
Amazing. I could have tried to find you a pocket pick if I knew.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. You don't want to force the pocket picks. Naturally, or they don't come at all. On this
you
day,
didn't even have pocket pick lint hanging around somewhere. That's what you should do sometimes. Just like, this has been hanging out here for a while.
Actually, I do have some that have been hanging out and I still didn't use them, which leads me to believe I probably should just get rid of them. All right. On this day, a week ago, 15 years ago, March 1st. Yes, I know it's weird for on this day, but this is a big one.
Just hurt my brain with that phrasing.
Aquatica opened in Orlando. They are celebrating 15 years of fun.
15 years ago last week, and it's not even Disney. This is the pocket pick lint of this day in Disney history so far.
Actually, 15 years ago, a week and a day. Okay. And it's not even Disney. But we were there, as my wife reminded me, we were there for the grand opening of Aquatica. I totally forgot. And I just can't believe it's been 15 years. This is like the new water park in Central Florida. It's been 15 years. So Orlando. Jeremiah is there today, celebrating 15 years of fun. Aquatica, my favorite. No, that's an overstatement. But definitely worthy of Disney quality. I would happily go there instead of Blizzard Beach or Typhoon Lagoon sometimes. Excellent water park, especially
when you went to the grand opening. Did you edit your own video? Don't worry about it. Just move on.
Okay.
I'm just being sassy.
It's coming to me now. Now I see where you're at. Okay, thank you. Wow. I used it, Mac. I used it. Yes, I did. I used it yesterday. I didn't acknowledge you, but I did use it. Keep those. Get over it,
because
Mac.
I mentioned that I hit up Mac for pocket picks while you were away.
I want more get over it from Mac. All right. On this day in 1978, we were talking about Star Wars and Star Wars birthday. On this day in 1978, Poe Dameron himself, Oscar Isaac, was born.
And Moon Knight.
And Moon Knight. Yes,
getting bodied in the oddies.
We're going to bring Marvel into everything.
I sound like a rapper now. I'm going to start getting bodied into oddies.
Can we have, when Ethan is unavailable, Kyle raps the weather?
Kyle raps the weather. Okay. Oh, I made a rap song in like 2009 or 10 that mentioned Laughing Place and Fanboy. That's the kind of rapper I am.
Where is this? Did you send it to us?
Benji's heard it. I mean, he heard it 10 years ago, but yeah, it was.
Do you remember it?
I sampled "I Write Sins Not Tragedies" by Panic at the Disco. I'm not going to sing the whole thing, especially because I'm sure that I'd have to censor a bunch as I'm going. So,
you want a song about Laughing Place that needs to be censored?
You know.
Wow, you're edgy. All right. On this day in 1980, a made-for-TV Disney movie. So this is not a DCOM. It's a made-for-TV Disney movie. It is a daring political assassination plot envelops 4 kids in this fast-paced thriller. When a cryptic note is passed to young Bert Hale by a stranger, he inadvertently holds the key to unraveling the sinister plot and shares this mysterious message with his friends. When the kids are unable to decipher the strange clue, they turn to a determined newspaper reporter for help. Kyle, name that family-friendly film.
I have no idea.
Yeah, me either until today. It is The Kids Who Knew Too Much. About an assassination.
Okay.
That's right.
Are you going to show the video? Is there a video, or are you just?
I have no video this time. I'm going to show.
Okay.
I can show the poster.
No, that's fine. I've been looking in the green room at this video. I'm like, are we going to see something about this? The Kids Who Knew Too Much.
The Kids Who Knew Too Much.
That title reminds me of. Do I recognize who?
The kid on the right there?
No.
Dana Hill.
Okay.
I don't know who Dana Hill is.
There's a Simpsons bit where he's talking about there's this movie and there's this bus and there's people on the bus and the bus can't go under 50 or it'll blow up the bus. I think it was called he kept saying Speed. Wow, that's what yeah, then he goes, I think it was called The Bus That Couldn't Slow Down.
So I think
he's like, it was speeding and it has to keep its speed over 50 miles per hour. I screwed up the whole joke, like Chris Rock in his special.
Which we're also not going to talk about for the same reason we're not going to have you react. I like this method of doing this. All right, so I don't think the green room's giving it away. All right, you ready for this one? On this day in 2001, Disney Channel original movie.
Am I supposed to cover my eyes or?
No, I'm going to read you the synopsis.
Okay.
A teenager must battle for a gold charm to keep his family from being controlled by an evil leprechaun.
Luck of the Irish?
You are correct. That is Luck of the Irish. On this day, the Disney Channel original movie.
I didn't quite know that was the plot. I was like something about basketball and pointy ears. But you said decom and you said leprechaun, so I figured that's what it had to be.
So I'm like, I remember this because of the basketball and stuff. And then did I read a different Luck of the Irish synopsis? But no, this is the right one. This is actually about an evil leprechaun. No idea. All right.
I remember that in the 13th year. The ones I confused.
On this day in 2012, the movie that forever changed the Walt Disney Company, I will read you the synopsis. Transported to Barsoom, a Civil War vet discovers a barren planet seemingly inhabited by 12-foot tall barbarians. Finding himself prisoner of these creatures, he escapes, only to encounter Woola and a princess in desperate need of a savior. Can you name that Disney classic?
No. Tell me, read it again. I was distracted by whatever is happening in Benji's shot in the green room.
Boom. A Civil War vet discovers a barren planet seemingly inhabited by 12-foot tall barbarians. Finding himself prisoner of these creatures, he escapes only to encounter Woola and a princess in desperate need of a savior.
I don't know. That's not a whatever it's called. Oh, it's John Carter of Mars.
It's John. No, of Mars.
No,
it's just
Mars,
John Carter. It's John Carter. Wow.
He had a big year that year. Remember when he was in Battleship?
I know. He was going to be the next big thing. I love Battleship a lot, by the way.
He's also, I think correct me if I'm wrong, Mac, doesn't he play Gambit in that X-Men Origin?
That's Taylor Kitsch, and that's an Andrew Stanton movie, which had high hopes. There was a sequel in the works, and it is now just a quintessential big flop. And kind of like Solo has aged well over the years. People, I think, much more recognize that it is a pretty quality film, but it did not do well at the box office.
No. It's one of those that you look and you're like, well, yeah, of course. Kind of like when I look at Prince of Persia. I was like, why did you think this would do well? I could tell you it wasn't going to do well.
And the one I like, by the way, Princess Persia, Jake Gyllenhaal. I saw another movie with a Gyllenhaal. The Kindergarten, not Kindergarten Cop. I think it's just Kindergarten Teacher. Very good movie.
The Kindergarten Teacher.
Very unrelated to Disney. All right. On this day in 2014, a parade still running at the Magic Kingdom Festival of Fantasy made its debut. Still going strong. I think one of the better daytime.
Except for that one time when it caught on fire.
That's part of the charm. Part of the charm. So definitely a great parade. One of my favorites of Disney's daytime parade history. Can keep going for years and years as far as that goes.
What time is that 3 o'clock parade start?
And finally, we've got one more to read a synopsis for Kyle. I like this a lot. This is now a regular part of the show.
Okay, I'll pay attention this time.
On this day in 2018, that enough should be able to tell you what it is.
Okay.
Know your Disney history. After the disappearance of her scientist father, 3 peculiar beings send Meg, her brother, and her friends to space in order to find him.
Is that A Wrinkle in Time?
A Wrinkle in Time. Very good. On this day, 28.
The girl who's in this movie was recently on something that I saw, and now I can't think of what it is. Becca, what was the girl from Wrinkle in Time on recently that we watched?
The Last of Us.
The Last of Us.
The HBO thing?
Yeah, she was on an episode of that I won't say much more about. But she was really good on it.
I still want to watch that show, but it grosses me in a way I can't handle. Yeah, thanks, Mac. I'm still waiting for more Get Over It from you, Mac. You're now our VP of Get Over It.
If you're worried about I don't know. I think you alluded to what bothered you about the initial episode. I don't think there's really much more of that, particularly afterwards.
Okay.
But
okay, I appreciate that advice. All right, that's kind of our show today. I'm just check the Twitters real quick, see if anything else is popping up over here. You, Kyle, can check too.
I will check too while trying to be interesting. Let me check my handy dandy RSS reader as well, because I don't see nothing happen on the Twitters.
Me either.
Here's if you want to summarize, we talked about the Morgan Stanley thing. Here's how Deadline summed up the thing. Disney being, quote, very careful, end quote, with Star Wars movie development. CEO Bob Iger says, Marvel brand not inherently off, but do need a 3rd or 4th sequel for every character, question mark? Complicated headline. Did not know it was going to be that exciting. Ben Savage is going to be running for Congress.
Really?
Yeah.
What state?
California. He's running for Adam Schiff is going to be running for Senate, and so he's running in District 30 of California.
That's awesome. Wow.
Ben Savage says Boy Meets World clip shows he's always been passionate about politics. Okay. I was like reading it as clip shows. He's like, this clip shows that he's always been interested in politics. Very interesting. I guess he's on GMA 3 today. Which used to be that used to have different anchors. Doesn't have those anchors anymore.
Am I trying to talk to Rigby?
Becca's trying to talk to Rigby. Rigby's eating some snacks.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today on another edition of the LPTV Disney Morning Show. Doobie, this is Kyle. Thanks very much to Benji for joining us to talk business, as he is very good at doing. Today at 1 p.m., which is only an hour and a half away, Mike Celestino is going to be talking Who's the Boss? Mandalorian Episode 2. Who's his guest? Let me see. Do you know who his guest is?
Someone awesome.
John Bishop Jr., returning guest John Bishop Jr. They're going to be talking about the Bad Batch, Minds of Mandalore, and Minds of Mandalore is the Mandalorian episode, and The Outpost from the Bad Batch. They'll go into deep dive spoiler discussion of that. So if you're a fan of those shows, these really are some very fun discussions. Check that out at 1 p.m. right here. We'll be back tomorrow at 11 o'clock. We're pushing it back even further tomorrow because of stuff going on in the morning that we want to be able to talk about. So Josh tomorrow's going to be at South by Southwest giving a presentation. So that's theme park specific, presumably. That's going to hopefully give us some interesting content coming out of that. So really looking forward to Friday here. Thanks for joining us as always, and we're going to see you at that time.